Hey everyone, Rob Franek. I'm Editor-in-Chief here at the Princeton. Thanks as always for tuning in to our SAT ACT strategy series where we help you expand your personal knowledge of standardized tests to help you prepare to crush the SAT and ACT come test day. Today's segment, my friends, is all about understanding the similarities between both the SAT and the ACT. But honestly, friends, those similarities don't stop with the SAT and ACT alone. They are transferable to all standardized tests ever penned. Feel the power in it, friends. Now, of course, this is super rich territory, so we're going to skip all of the pesky preamble and jump right into the good stuff to help you master and, of course, conquer those deeply flawed yet deeply important SAT and ACTs. Now, the first thing that you need to remember and know when working on testing strategies to ace the SAT and ACT are test-taking strategies that work for literally any old test under the sun. It may sound like heresy, my friends, but what I'm talking about is complete and unyielding uniformity, friends. Standardized tests are just that. They are standardized, which is their tragic flaw. They are inherently weak, which means they are inherently coachable and, of course, crackable. Now, that is all to your benefit when it comes to testing and to mastering those tests from the get-go. So I'm just going to say it out loud with crystal clear clarity. There are certain strategies that are literally universal on all standardized tests, including the big ones, the SAT, the ACT, the PSAT, every AP exam that exists, as well as the GRE to get into grad school, the LSAT to get into law school, and that mammoth of all standardized test exams, the MCAT to get into medical school. Friends, we are now going to think broadly about both the SAT and the ACT. Friends, they are eerily similar, and that's likely the universal reason why both tests, the SAT and the ACT, are accepted for freshman admission at the majority of four-year colleges from C to Shining C, as well as lots and lots of international schools. And that is sweet bliss for you, my friends. That all said, the test makers themselves for both the SAT and the ACT don't broadcast in their respective brochures that the toughest parts of each exams are near exactly the same. Folks, let's recall together that the SAT and the ACT are 3-hour plus exams of testing time. That warrants us to say it out loud. Nothing that anyone regularly does takes 3+ hours in one contiguous time frame. That's why Broadway shows have intermissions and football games have half times. It is also confirmed canon that the SAT and the ACT are zero fun compared to Broadway productions and Friday Night Lights. But that all said, we've just talked about only a smidge of the test itself, not to say not one syllable yet about the testing setting that you'll likely be in for the SAT and ACT. Remember that your testing setting is going to be 3+ hours of you squished in an uncomfortable, hard as nails chair with a whopper of a test booklet in front of you, hoping that the right answers will divinely appear in your noggins and then in turn on your answer sheets. Now, I'll give the tests this. Those 3+ hours will not be a boring slog, my friends, for the simple fact that both the SAT and the ACT have limited time per question, which means it is a sprint in every way from start to finish, and likely, unless you're a robot, you'll feel a weighty and mighty stress for each one of those testing minutes because you need to be steadily working through each question for the entire testing time. So, what does this actually all mean for you? Simply put, friends, you'll need to manage your time carefully on both the SAT and the ACT to succeed on those exams wildly. And here's the thing, friends. Testing similarities can and do give you a huge advantage. Take the simple fact that both the SAT and the ACT are, for the most part, multiple choice tests. Now, multiple choice questions may well be frustrating and more than a bit annoying. But that said, those same multiple choice questions give you a very clear and a very specific advantage. Namely, you have answer choices. 4 answer choices. You might well be able to get to the correct answer because you can spot the wrong answers from the get-go. Our team calls that very clear strategy process of elimination, and you can use it on nearly every kind of multiple choice question. And friends, let's remember that both the SAT and the ACT cover similar material. Both tests have a math section covering high school math through Algebra 2 with a wee handful of trigonometry questions. They also both have reading sections which require you to read advanced reading passages and answer complex questions about those same passages. They also both have sections which require you to fix the grammar and the structure of passages. Now, the SAT calls those questions writing and language, and the ACT calls it English. Barring the different nomenclature, folks, the content is so deeply familiar, and that is awesome because you can bear hug that redundancy on both the SAT and the ACT. And finally, let's debunk one of the biggest myths of them all. The ACT seems to be deeply and importantly different from the SAT by having a dedicated science section. Don't be hoodwinked, folks. Let's remind ourselves that the SAT reading section has science passages, which are, again, incredibly similar to the ACT science passages, and math questions, too, about charts and graphs based on scientific data. So whether you're facing the SAT or the ACT, or you're like nearly 500,000 students who take both the SAT and the ACT annually, remind yourself that feeling stress is only human, but it's the similarities in the SAT and the ACT tests that shift the power right back to you. And that, my friends, is going to transubstantiate you into a confident test taker, and that's right where you want to be. Folks, as always, I'm hoping that you enjoyed this video as much as we did making it. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to our channel where we feature regular segments on study tips and live streams and admission advice and exam updates and much more. Rob Franek, Editor-in-Chief, signing off for today. Be well.